The notification lit up my phone at 2:55 a.m. Your wife tagged you in a photo. I should have been asleep. Hell, Jessica should have been asleep too. She'd told me she was working late at the firm again, some big merger deal that couldn't wait. But there she was, tagged in a beach photo at the Sandpiper Resort, 300 miles away in Clearwater. The timestamp read 43 minutes ago. My heart hammered against my ribs as I zoomed in. Jessica's blonde hair caught the moonlight, her head thrown back in laughter. A man's arm wrapped around her waist, his face partially obscured but visible enough. I recognized him immediately. Tyler Banks, the new partner at her law firm. The one she'd mentioned exactly twice in passing conversation over the past 4 months. The caption read, "Sometimes you just need to escape reality. Beach vibes. Living my best life." I sat up in bed, the sheets suddenly suffocating. Our bed. The one we'd picked out together 6 years ago when we bought this house in suburban Cleveland. The bed where we'd talked about starting a family, where she'd cried on my shoulder when her father died, where we'd made love countless times and promised each other forever. My phone buzzed again. A comment from someone named Brittany Walsh. "You two are so cute together. About time you made it official." Official. The word echoed in my skull like a gunshot in an empty room. I opened Jessica's Instagram profile with shaking fingers. It was public. She'd always kept it public for networking purposes. The photos loaded one by one, and each image felt like a knife twisting deeper into my chest. 2 weeks ago, Tyler and Jessica at some rooftop bar, cocktails raised to the camera. 3 weeks ago, a selfie in his car, her hand resting on his shoulder. A month ago, them at a concert, pressed close together in the crowd. How had I missed this? How had I been so blind? But I knew how. I'd been working 60-hour weeks at the automotive plant, trying to make supervisor before the end of the year. Jessica said she understood, that we were both grinding now so we could coast later. She'd been staying late at the office too, or so she claimed. We'd been ships passing in the night for months, communicating through text messages and quick pecks on the cheek. I scrolled further back. The photos with Tyler started appearing around late June. It was now mid-October. 4 months. She'd been doing this for 4 months. My hands trembled as I opened our text messages. Her last message, sent at 9:15 p.m. "Working late again, babe. Don't wait up. Love you." Love you. The casual cruelty of those 2 words made my stomach turn. I ran to the bathroom and dry heaved over the toilet, my whole body shaking. When the nausea passed, I splashed cold water on my face and stared at my reflection. At 34 years old, I looked 10 years older in that moment. Dark circles under my eyes. Stubble I'd been too tired to shave. The face of a man who'd just discovered his entire life was a lie. I grabbed my phone and called her. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Then voicemail. Her cheerful voice, "Hey, this is Jessica. Can't come to the phone right now, but leave me a message." I hung up and called again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. On the 4th attempt, she answered. I could hear waves in the background, distant laughter. "Daniel? What's wrong? It's 3 in the morning." Her voice was casual, concerned but not panicked. Like I was the one being unreasonable for calling my wife at 3 a.m. when she was supposed to be at the office. "Where are you?" My voice came out flat, emotionless. A pause. "Too long. I told you, working late. We're going over—" "Cut it, Jessica. I saw the Instagram post." Silence. The kind of silence that confirms everything you feared and more. "Daniel, I can explain. You're at a beach resort, with Tyler. You tagged me in the photo." A bitter laugh escaped my throat. "You tagged me. Did you forget? Or did you just stop caring?" It's complicated. We just needed to get away and finalize some details for the merger and— "Stop. Just stop." I pressed my palm against my forehead, trying to hold my skull together because it felt like it might split apart. How long? How long what? Don't insult me more than you already have. How long have you been sleeping with him? Another pause. When she spoke again, her voice had changed. Harder. Defensive. Since July, but Daniel, you have to understand, we've been drifting apart for so long, and Tyler, he actually sees me. He actually makes time for... I ended the call. She tried calling back immediately. I declined. She called again. Declined. Then the texts started flooding in. Please let me explain. It's not what you think. Can we talk about this like adults? You're being unreasonable. I turned off my phone and sat on the edge of our bed in the darkness. The digital clock on the nightstand glowed 3:12 a.m. In the span of 25 minutes, my 8-year marriage had detonated. 8 years. We'd been together since I was 26, married at 28. She was my first real love, the woman I thought I'd grow old with. I walked through our house like a ghost, seeing everything with new eyes. The framed photos on the walls, were those smiles real, or had she been faking it even then? The vacation souvenirs from Niagara Falls, from Nashville, from our honeymoon in the Bahamas. Had any of it meant anything to her? In her home office, I found her laptop sitting open on the desk. She never logged out. I sat down and opened her email. The laptop screen glowed in the darkness of her home office, cursor blinking in the search bar like a heartbeat. I'd grabbed it from the kitchen counter where she'd left it, careless. Or maybe she'd stopped caring about hiding anything at all. My hands hovered over the keyboard. Part of me wanted to slam it shut, pack a bag, disappear before I found anything worse. The other part, the part that had spent 8 years building a life with someone who could lie this easily, needed to know everything. I typed Tyler into her email search. 473 results. The number sat there on the screen, impossible and damning. I clicked the first one, dated 3 days ago. Can't stop thinking about last night. Your place again Friday? Jay's working another double. Jay me. I was Jay now, reduced to a single letter in messages about when they could use my schedule against me. I scrolled down. The emails went back to June, just like she'd said. But the tone in those early messages, they weren't tentative or guilty. They read like a continuation of something that had already started. Finally have you to myself this weekend. Told him it's a work conference in Columbus. Columbus. I remembered that weekend. July 4th. She'd kissed me goodbye at 6 a.m., told me the partners were demanding FaceTime with potential clients, said she'd try to be back by Sunday night. I'd spent the holiday weekend pulling overtime at the plant, time and a half pay I'd been saving for the down payment on a bigger house. The house we were supposed to fill with kids. My stomach lurched again, but I forced myself to keep reading. There were photos attached to some emails. Nothing explicit, just the two of them in hotel rooms, restaurants, his apartment. Pictures she'd never posted publicly. Private moments she'd kept just for him. One showed her wearing a necklace I'd never seen before. Diamond pendant, delicate gold chain. The timestamp said August 14th, 2 days after our anniversary when I'd given her pearl earrings because I'd remembered her mentioning them 6 months earlier. The email attached to that photo. Looks perfect on you, like it was made for you, like you were made for me. I opened a new search. Nashville. 17 results. The most recent was from last week. Confirmed the booth reservation for Saturday. Private session, 9 p.m. to midnight. Can't wait to finally hear you sing, among other things. Saturday, tomorrow. She'd told me she had voice lessons booked for the next few weeks, said one of the senior partners suggested it would help her courtroom presence. I'd thought it was pretentious but harmless, another networking thing lawyers did. I clicked through the other Nashville emails. They'd been planning this for months. Tyler had connections at some karaoke bar downtown, could get them a private booth with a sound tech for professional recording sessions. The emails made it clear what kind of recording they planned to do. My phone buzzed. Jessica calling again. I let it ring through to voicemail, kept scrolling through her laptop. There had to be more. Expense reports, receipts, something concrete I could use. Her browser history loaded slowly. I scanned the recent searches. Best hotels near Vanderbilt. Soundproof karaoke booths Nashville. How to tell your husband you want a divorce. That last one was from 3 weeks ago. She'd been planning to leave. All those conversations about my promotion, about waiting until we were more financially stable to start a family, she'd been stalling, keeping me on the hook while she figured out her exit strategy. I found her credit card statements next, saved in a folder labeled Tax Documents 2023. Charges from restaurants I'd never been to, hotels in cities she'd supposedly visited for work. A charge from Tiffany & Co. for $2,400 in August. The necklace in the photo, probably. Paid with the card we shared, the one linked to our joint account. She'd bought her lover a gift with my money. The voicemail notification appeared on my phone. I played it on speaker, needing to hear what excuse she'd try now. Daniel, please pick up. I know you're angry, but we need to talk about this like adults. What happened with Tyler? It's complicated. You've been so focused on work, on that promotion, and I've been lonely. I needed someone who actually paid attention to me, who made me feel seen. Her voice cracked on that last word, like she was the victim here. Like I'd forced her into another man's bed by having the audacity to work 60-hour weeks for our future. I didn't mean for you to find out this way. The Instagram thing. I wasn't thinking. Tyler and I had been drinking, and it felt so good to finally stop hiding, to just be happy for once. I know that's not fair to you, but I can't keep pretending everything's fine when it hasn't been fine for years. Years. Not months. Years. I think we should talk when I get back. Really talk about what we both want. Maybe we can figure this out, or maybe it's time to admit we've grown apart. Either way, we owe each other honesty. The message ended. Honesty. She wanted to lecture me about honesty while she was 300 miles away in a beach resort with her lover, wearing jewelry bought with our money, planning secret trips to Nashville for weekend getaways disguised as voice lessons. I opened a new browser tab on her laptop and searched for the karaoke bar. Crooner's Paradise, downtown Nashville. Their website showed a vintage-style interior, private booths advertised as intimate performance spaces with professional sound equipment. Reviews mentioned the discretion and privacy of their VIP rooms. The reservation confirmation was in her email. Booth 7, 9 p.m. Saturday, 3-hour block. Prepaid, non-refundable. I checked the time, 3:47 a.m. Jessica's flight back wasn't until Sunday afternoon. She'd be in Nashville by tomorrow evening. Plenty of time to make her 9 p.m. lesson. My phone buzzed again. Text message from Jessica. Please don't do anything rash. We can work through this. I stared at those words until they stopped making sense. Work through this. Like infidelity was a project we could tackle together. Another item on our shared calendar between dentist appointments and oil changes. Another text. I still care about you. That hasn't changed. My hands were shaking. I set the phone down before I threw it against the wall. The laptop was still open to her email. I scrolled back through the Nashville messages, found the one with Tyler's contact information for the sound tech. Some guy named Paulie, who apparently owed Tyler a favor, could make sure we have total privacy, no interruptions. I opened a new email from Jessica's account. Hey, Paulie. Quick change of plans for tomorrow night. My husband's going to be joining us as a surprise. He's been wanting to hear me sing, and I thought it would be fun to have him walk in mid-session. Don't mention anything to Tyler. I want it to be a complete surprise for both of them. Can you make sure the booth door stays unlocked? Thanks. Jess. I hit send before I could second guess it. Then I opened another email to Tyler, this time from my own account, not Jessica's. Tyler Banks. We haven't met officially, but I'm Jessica's husband. The one working doubles while you've been taking her to beach resorts. I wanted to thank you personally for the last 4 months. Really thoughtful of you both to document everything on Instagram. Makes the divorce paperwork so much easier. See you Saturday night in Nashville. I hear Booth 7 has excellent acoustics. Daniel. Send. My heart was hammering now, adrenaline cutting through the exhaustion and nausea. I wasn't thinking clearly. I knew that. This was reckless, stupid, the kind of thing I'd regret when I calmed down. But I didn't want to calm down. I wanted them to know I knew. Wanted them to spend the next 30 hours wondering what I'd do, feeling a fraction of the sick anxiety that had been eating through my stomach since 2:47 a.m. I booked a flight to Nashville. Last-minute ticket, expensive as hell, but we still had money in our joint account. Might as well use it before the lawyers froze everything. Departure, 4 p.m. Saturday. Arrival, 6:30 p.m. local time. Plenty of time to make it downtown by 9. The karaoke bar, Honky Tonk Heaven, sat wedged between a boot shop and a tourist trap selling overpriced cowboy hats on Broadway. I'd been sitting in my rental car across the street for 40 minutes, watching the neon guitar sign flicker against the Saturday night crowd. 9:30 p.m. Jessica's calendar had said, voice lesson, private booth, 10 p.m. My phone buzzed. Tyler's response to my email, finally. Daniel, I think we should all sit down and talk about this like adults. Jessica cares about you. This doesn't have to be ugly. I deleted it without responding. The bar's front windows showed the main floor, a stage with a drunk bachelorette party butchering Before He Cheats, tables packed with tourists nursing overpriced beers. But the private booths would be in back. I'd called yesterday pretending to be interested in booking one. The manager, a guy named Dale, had explained they had 6 soundproof rooms upstairs, popular with folks wanting to practice without an audience. He'd laughed. Though between you and me, most people ain't doing much singing up there, if you catch my drift. I caught it. 9:45. I crossed the street, paid the $10 cover to a bouncer who barely glanced at my ID, and pushed into the noise. The bachelorette party had moved on to Man, I Feel Like a Woman, and the crowd was eating it up. I worked my way through the tables toward the back staircase Dale had mentioned. A hostess with a name tag reading Kimberly intercepted me at the bottom of the stairs. Private booths are reserved only, hun. You got a reservation? My wife does. Jessica Carpenter, booth 4. She checked her tablet. Yep, got her right here. 10 o'clock. But she ain't arrived yet and I'm early. Wanted to surprise her. Kimberly's expression shifted to something knowing, almost pitying. She'd probably seen this scenario play out before. Booth 4's the second door on the left. But honey, if you're planning to, just want to hear her sing, I said. She stepped aside. The upstairs hallway was dim, lit by fake vintage bulbs and wire cages. Music leaked from the occupied booths, off-key renditions of Tennessee Whiskey and Jolene. Booth 4's door was closed, lights off. I tried the handle. Unlocked. Inside, the room was smaller than I'd expected. A leather couch faced a wall-mounted TV screen, microphones on stands, a control panel for selecting songs and adjusting volume. The soundproofing made everything feel dead, airless. I sat on the couch and waited. 9:58. Voices in the hallway. Jessica's laugh, high and bright. I still can't believe you rented this place for 2 hours. We're definitely not going to spend all that time singing. Tyler's voice, lower. Who said anything about singing? The door opened. Jessica saw me first. She froze in the doorway, Tyler behind her, his hand on her lower back. She was wearing the black dress from the Instagram photos, the one that cost $300 according to her credit card statement. The necklace, Tyler's necklace, caught the hallway light. Daniel. Her voice went flat. What are you doing here? I stood up. Tyler stepped into the room beside her, and I got my first good look at him in person. Tall, maybe 6'2", with the kind of jawline that probably made him popular in law school. He wore a button-down with the sleeves rolled up, expensive jeans. His expression cycled through confusion to recognition to something like resignation. I think that's my line, I said. Voice lessons, Jess? That's what you're calling this? She recovered faster than I'd expected. Her face hardened. You followed me here? Are you serious right now? I read your emails, saw your calendar, thought I'd join the party. I looked at Tyler. You must be the new partner, the one who's so good at mergers. Tyler held up his hands. Look, man, I know this is... Don't. The word came out sharper than I'd intended. Don't man me. Don't pretend we're buddies having a misunderstanding. Jessica stepped forward, putting herself slightly between us. Daniel, you need to leave. We can talk about this at home. Like we talked about it when I called you in Clearwater? When you fed me that line about drifting apart? I moved to the control panel, started scrolling through the song list. No, I think we should stay. You paid for 2 hours, right? Seems like a waste to leave early. What are you doing? Jessica's voice had an edge now, nervous. I selected a song, Stand By Your Man, and queued it up. The opening music filled the booth, Tammy Wynette's voice crooning through the speakers. I picked up one of the microphones, cranked the volume to maximum. Daniel, stop it. Jessica reached for the control panel. I held the microphone between us like a barrier. You wanted to sing, right? Let's sing. Come on, Jess. Show me what you've been practicing. Tyler moved toward me. This is childish. We should all... I turned the microphone toward the speaker, creating a feedback screech that made both of them flinch and cover their ears. The high-pitched whine cut through everything, painful and sharp. I pulled it back just before it became unbearable. Oops, I said. Still learning the controls. Must be why you needed so many lessons. Jessica's face flushed red. You're making a scene. This is exactly why I... She stopped herself, but the damage was done. Why you what? Why you screwed him? Why you spent 4 months lying to my face? I cranked the music louder. Tammy Wynette's voice became distorted, overwhelming. Come on, sing with me. Stand by your man. Turn it off, Jessica shouted over the music. I didn't. I started singing along, deliberately off-key, my voice cracking on the high notes. Tyler grabbed for the control panel, but I blocked him with my body, still singing, the microphone feedback screeching every few seconds when I angled it wrong. The door burst open. Dale, had to be Dale, based on the manager name tag, stood there with Kimberly and the bouncer from downstairs. What the hell is going on in here? I lowered the microphone. The music kept playing. Just having a duet with my wife and her boyfriend. That's what these booths are for, right? Dale looked between the three of us, putting the pieces together fast. Out, all of you, now. We paid for 2 hours, Tyler said. And you're done. Out, or I call the cops for disturbing the peace. Dale pointed to the hallway. Jessica grabbed her purse from where she'd dropped it. Wouldn't meet my eyes. Tyler put his hand on her shoulder, possessive, protective, and guided her past me toward the door. I stopped at the control panel on my way out. Dale was watching the hallway, making sure we actually left. The booth's recording feature sat right there on the screen, a little red button that said, Save Session. The system had been running since I'd started the music. I hit save. Then I pulled out my phone, opened the bar's Wi-Fi network. They'd posted the password downstairs on a chalkboard, and accessed the booth's control system. It took 30 seconds to find the file, another 10 to upload it to the main bar's speaker queue and set it to loop. "Move it," the bouncer said behind me. I pocketed my phone and followed them downstairs. We made it halfway across the main floor when the bar's music cut out. For a second, there was just confused silence. Then the speakers crackled to life with the recording from Booth 4. My off-key singing, Jessica shouted, "Turn it off!" Tyler's voice saying, "This is childish," all of it layered over the distorted Tammy Wynette track and punctuated by feedback screeches. The crowd started laughing. Someone whooped. The bachelorette party cheered. Jessica's face went white. "Daniel, what did you do?" Dale was already running for the DJ booth, but I'd locked the system with a random password. The recording kept playing, looping back to the beginning. My voice singing, "Stand by your man," filled the bar again. "Get them out!" Dale shouted to the bouncer. We were pushed toward the exit, Jessica stumbling in her heels, Tyler trying to shield her from the crowd's stares and phone cameras. Someone was definitely recording this. It would probably be on TikTok within the hour. Outside on Broadway, the music still audible through the walls, Jessica finally looked at me. Her eyes were wet, mascara starting to run. "You're insane. You know that? You're actually insane." "Maybe," I said, "but at least I'm not a liar." Tyler stepped between us again. "Jessica, come on, let's go." "Yeah, Jess, go." I pulled out my phone, showed her the screen. My lawyer's number, ready to dial. "I'll see you in court. Hope Tyler's good at divorce law, too." I walked away before either of them could respond, heading back toward my rental car. Behind me, the bar's speakers finally went silent as Dale killed the power to the whole system. My phone buzzed. A text from the number I'd saved as Lawyer Kevin Wright. "Got your voicemail. Monday 9 a.m. work for you? Bring all the documentation you mentioned." I typed back, "Perfect." The Nashville night was warm, humid. Tourist crowds flowed around me like I was a rock in a stream. Somewhere behind me, Jessica was probably crying on Tyler's shoulder, telling him how crazy I was, how unreasonable. Let her. I had the emails, the receipts, the recording, and now I had a lawyer. The Uber dropped me at Nashville International at 11:47 p.m. I'd left my rental car in the bar's parking lot, let them figure out the towing fees. My hand still shook as I booked the first flight back to Cleveland, a red-eye departing at 1:35 a.m. with a connection through Atlanta. I sat in a hard plastic chair at gate C-14, watching families and business travelers scroll through their phones, oblivious. My recording sat in my cloud storage now, backed up 3 times. 22 minutes of pure chaos. Jessica's voice cracking as she screamed at me to stop. Tyler trying to sound authoritative while his words slurred together. The bartender threatening to call the cops. And underneath it all, the looped audio of what I'd caught them doing in that booth before I'd announced myself. The bar manager, a woman named Sheila with a severe bob and reading glasses on a chain, had physically escorted me to the door while Tyler held Jessica back. "You're banned for life," Sheila had said, her Tennessee accent sharp. "And we're pressing charges for property damage." Property damage. I'd cranked the feedback so hard the left speaker in booth 4 had blown out, apparently. Worth it. My phone buzzed. Jessica, of course. "You're insane. Completely insane. Tyler's talking to his lawyer right now." I typed back, "Tell Tyler my lawyer's name is Kevin Wright. He can coordinate with him Monday morning." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "You humiliated me in public. You assaulted Tyler." I almost laughed. Assault. I'd shoved past him to get to the soundboard. That was it. "I never touched him, but I've got 22 minutes of audio that says you've been touching him plenty." The dot stopped. No response. The flight attendant called for boarding. I shuffled into the line with my carry-on. The same bag I'd packed in a fury 8 hours ago, throwing in whatever was closest. A wrinkled shirt, deodorant, phone charger. I hadn't even brought my toothbrush. The connection in Atlanta gave me 2 hours to kill. I found a 24-hour sports bar near Gate B7 and ordered coffee I didn't drink. The TV above the bar played SportsCenter highlights I didn't watch. Instead, I pulled up the recording again. I'd listened to it 4 times already, but I needed to hear it once more. Needed to confirm it was real. The first 3 minutes were just music. Some pop song Jessica had queued up, her voice attempting to hit notes she couldn't reach. Then Tyler's laugh, low and intimate. "You're terrible at this." "Shut up." Playful. The voice she used to use with me, back when we'd first started dating. Then the sounds. Rustling fabric. A gasp. Her voice, breathless. "Not here. Someone might—" "Door's locked, babe. Relax." Babe. I'd stood outside that booth for 90 seconds, listening through the thin door, my hand on the handle. The booth reservation confirmation had said 9 p.m. to midnight. Private session. The bartender had pointed me toward booth 4 without question when I'd asked for Jessica Wright's reservation. When I'd finally opened the door, they'd been on the small couch against the back wall. Jessica's shirt was unbuttoned. Tyler's hands were— I'd started recording on my phone immediately, even as I'd reached for the soundboard mounted on the wall. The look on Jessica's face when she'd seen me. Pure terror, then something harder. Defiance. "Daniel, this isn't—" I'd cranked every knob on that board to maximum. The music had exploded into distortion, feedback screaming through the speakers. Tyler had lunged toward me, but I'd already moved to the door, propping it open with the doorstop. "Get out!" Jessica had screamed, trying to button her shirt with shaking hands. I'd found the main sound system controls near the bar. Sheila had been helping another customer, her back turned. The booth audio fed into the main system. I'd confirmed that with a quick glance at the routing panel. One switch, and suddenly, booth 4's audio was playing through every speaker in honky-tonk heaven. The bar had gone silent. 30, maybe 40 people, all turning toward the speakers as Jessica's voice filled the room. "Not here. Someone might—" That's when Sheila had noticed. I landed in Cleveland at 6:23 a.m. The sun was just starting to rise, gray light filtering through the terminal windows. I'd slept maybe 40 minutes on the flight, my head pressed against the window, dreams fragmenting into half-remembered images of Jessica's face when she'd seen me in that doorway. My car was still in long-term parking where I'd left it yesterday afternoon. Yesterday. It felt like a year ago. The house was dark when I pulled into the driveway at 7:15 a.m. Jessica's car wasn't there, still in Nashville, presumably. Or maybe she'd driven straight to Tyler's place. I didn't care. Inside, everything looked exactly as I'd left it. My coffee mug from yesterday morning still sat in the sink. The mail I'd tossed on the counter before rushing to the airport lay scattered across the granite. A catalog, a credit card offer, a reminder about our dental appointments next month. I walked upstairs to our bedroom. The bed was still unmade from Friday morning, sheets tangled where I'd thrown them aside after the Instagram notification had woken me. That phone, the one I'd been holding at 2:47 a.m. when my entire life had detonated, sat charging on my nightstand. I picked it up. 17 missed calls from Jessica, 9 voicemails, 43 text messages. I deleted them all without reading. Then I opened my email and sent Kevin Wright a message. "Kevin, Daniel here. Need to move our Monday meeting earlier if possible. Have additional evidence to discuss. Also may need referral for criminal defense attorney depending on what my wife's boyfriend decides to do. Let me know your availability. Daniel." I hit send at 7:31 a.m. By 7:45 a.m., I'd started going through the house room by room with my phone camera, documenting everything. The furniture we'd bought together, the artwork on the walls, the kitchen appliances, the wedding photos I'd need to take down eventually but Couldn't face yet. In Jessica's home office, her laptop still sat open on the desk where I'd left it after finding the emails. I took photos of the screen, the browser history still visible, the search for how to tell your husband you want a divorce, time-stamped at 3:47 a.m. on September 28th. 3 weeks ago, she'd been planning this. While I'd been working 60-hour weeks, pushing for that supervisor position so we could finally start saving for the down payment on a bigger house. The house she'd said she wanted. The house where we'd raise kids someday. She'd been Googling divorce strategies. My phone buzzed. Kevin Wright, responding already. Daniel, can do 7 a.m. Monday instead of 9 a.m. if that works. Bring all evidence. Regarding criminal defense, let's see what actually gets filed first. Most of these threats don't materialize. Kevin. I typed back, 7 a.m. works. See you then. The rest of Saturday dissolved into a blur of documentation and mechanical tasks. I photographed bank statements. I printed out the emails between Jessica and Tyler, all 473 of them, the printer churning for nearly an hour. I made copies of our joint account records showing the $2,400 necklace purchase, the charges from the Sandpiper Resort in Clearwater, the Nashville karaoke bar reservation. At 2:17 p.m., Jessica finally came home. I heard her car in the driveway, the engine cutting off, then silence. She sat out there for 3 minutes. I watched through the living room window before finally opening the door. She looked terrible. Her makeup was smeared, her hair tangled, still wearing the same clothes from last night. The blue blouse, now wrinkled and missing a button. Daniel. Her voice was hoarse. I was sitting on the couch, the printed emails stacked on the coffee table in front of me. Jessica. We need to talk. No, we don't. She stepped into the living room, her eyes darting to the email stack, then back to me. What you did last night was documented, I said. Just like everything else, the emails, the trips, the necklace, the search history, all documented. Her face went pale. You went through my laptop. You went through our marriage vows, she flinched. Good. I want you out, I said. Tonight. Take whatever clothes you need. Everything else gets decided by lawyers. This is my house too. Not for long. I stood up, walked past her toward the stairs. I'm meeting with my attorney Monday morning. You should probably do the same. Daniel, please. I stopped on the third step, turned back. She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. Don't, I said. Don't cry. Don't apologize. Don't explain. Just pack your stuff and go to Tyler's place. Or a hotel. I don't care which. I never meant for, get out, Jessica. She stood there for another moment, then turned and walked upstairs. I heard her moving around in our bedroom, drawers opening and closing, the closet door sliding on its track. 20 minutes later, she came back down with 2 suitcases. She stopped at the door, looked back at me one more time. I'm sorry. I didn't respond. The door closed behind her at 3:04 p.m. I sat in the silence of our house, my house now, and waited for something to feel different. It didn't. The house felt different without her in it. Not better. Not worse. Just hollow, like someone had scooped out the center and left only the shell standing. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, Kevin Wright's email glowing on the screen. He'd sent over a questionnaire, 37 pages of questions about assets, debts, income, marital history. The kind of document that reduced 8 years to checkboxes and dollar amounts. Date of separation. Yesterday, October 16th. Grounds for divorce. Adultery. Marital assets. House, 6 years of mortgage payments. 2 cars, hers a year old, mine 5. Joint savings, $23,047 before she started bleeding it. Retirement accounts, furniture, appliances, the wedding china we'd never used. My phone buzzed. Text from my supervisor, Greg. Taking you off the schedule for a few days. Personal time. Non-negotiable. I'd called in that morning, voice raw from the karaoke bar confrontation. Told him I had a family emergency. He hadn't asked questions. Another buzz. Unknown number. Mr. Reeves, this is Amanda Foster from Harmony Karaoke Bar. We need to discuss the property damage and disruption from last night. Please call at your earliest convenience. I deleted it. Let them send a bill. Kevin had said to document everything, save everything. But some things I just wanted gone. The doorbell rang at 2:47 p.m., exactly 12 hours since I'd first seen that Instagram photo. My body remembered, stomach clenching. Through the peephole, a woman in her 50s, gray hair pulled back, holding a manila envelope. Process server, probably. That was fast. I opened the door. Daniel Reeves? Yeah. I'm Patricia Hill, private investigator. She handed me a business card. I was hired by your wife's firm to document the incident at Harmony Karaoke Bar last night. I need to ask you some questions. No. Mr. Reeves, there are potential criminal charges. Talk to my attorney. I gave her Kevin's card, the one he'd pressed into my hand yesterday with, "Call me if anyone contacts you," written on the back. I'm done answering questions. She studied me for a moment. Your wife claims you assaulted Mr. Banks. The laugh came out bitter. She would. Did you? Kevin Wright. Call him. I started to close the door. The bar has surveillance footage, Patricia said. Multiple angles. If you didn't assault anyone, the footage will show it. I paused. Then I guess the footage will show it. Mr. Banks is claiming you shoved him into the soundboard, damaged equipment worth several $1,000s. He was blocking the door. I moved past him. If he fell into his equipment, that's on him. The words came out flat. I was too tired for this. Anything else? The recording you played over the bar's speakers. Where did you get it? Made it myself, in a private booth I'd paid for. No expectation of privacy when you're screaming at each other loud enough for the whole bar to hear anyway. Patricia made a note. You're aware that recording someone without consent is illegal in Tennessee? Is it? Guess I should have thought of that before I caught my wife screwing her coworker. I met her eyes. You working for the firm or for Tyler personally? The firm. Then tell them I'll see them in court if they want to press charges. Otherwise, leave me alone. I closed the door, leaned against it until I heard her footsteps retreat down the driveway. My phone rang. Mom. Daniel, honey, Jessica just called me. She says you threw her out of the house over a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. She sounded so upset. She said you've been working too much, that the stress is making you paranoid. Mom, I cut her off. She's been having an affair since July. I have proof. Emails, photos, credit card statements. She's lying to you. Silence on the other end. Then, oh, Danny. My chest tightened. She hadn't called me Danny since I was 12. I'm filing for divorce. It's done. Do you need to come stay here for a while? Your father and I. I'm keeping the house. The words came out harder than I meant. I paid for it. I'm not leaving. Okay, sweetheart. Whatever you need. Her voice wavered. I'm so sorry. We talked for another 10 minutes. She offered to come over, to bring food, to help with the lawyer paperwork. I told her I was fine. We both knew I was lying. After we hung up, I went back to Kevin's questionnaire. List all known assets acquired during the marriage. I started typing. The house, Jessica's car, a 2023 Honda Accord she'd insisted on, said she needed something reliable for client meetings. My truck, the furniture, the TV, the coffee maker that cost $300 because she'd wanted the fancy one, the $2,400 necklace currently hanging around her neck. I added it to the list with a note. Purchased with marital funds for extramarital affair partner. Requesting reimbursement. Kevin had said Tennessee was a fault state. That adultery mattered in asset division. That the money she'd spent on Tyler, the hotels, the dinners, the gifts, could be considered dissipation of marital assets. Good. My phone buzzed again. Email from an address I didn't recognize. Email protected. Subject: last night. I almost deleted it. Opened it instead. Daniel. I know you don't want to hear from me. I know you probably hate me. But I need you to understand that what happened between Tyler and me wasn't about hurting you. We fell in love. It just happened. The karaoke thing was cruel. You humiliated me in front of people I work with. Tyler's firm is talking about pressing charges, and I could lose my job over this. I'm willing to make the divorce easy if you drop whatever revenge campaign you're planning. We can split everything 50-50, no lawyers, no drama. But if you keep trying to destroy my career, I'll fight you on every single thing. The house, the cars, the retirement accounts. All of it. Please think about what you're doing. I read it 3 times. Each time the rage built a little higher. It just happened. Like she'd tripped and fallen onto his lap. Like 4 months of lies and secret trips and stolen money were some kind of accident. I could lose my job. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I know I hurt you. Just consequences for herself. Make the divorce easy. Translation: let her walk away with half of everything I'd worked for while she was spending our money on another man. I hit reply. Jessica. You're right, I do hate you. Talk to my lawyer. His name is Kevin Wright. I gave you his card. Don't contact me again. Daniel. I sent it before I could second-guess myself. Blocked her email address. Blocked her number. Blocked her on every platform I could think of. The house settled around me. Quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of someone mowing their lawn 3 houses down. I went upstairs to the bedroom. Stood in the doorway looking at the bed we'd shared for 6 years. The sheets still smelled like her perfume. I stripped the bed. Sheets, pillowcases, comforter, all of it into a garbage bag. Carried it downstairs and out to the curb. Went back up and grabbed her pillow. The decorative cushions she'd insisted we needed. The throw blanket she'd bought last Christmas. All of it went to the curb. In the bathroom, I swept her makeup into another bag. Shampoo, conditioner, face creams, the expensive moisturizer that cost $80 a bottle, the electric toothbrush, the hairdryer, gone. Her closet was half empty already from her packing last night, but plenty remained. Dresses, shoes, boxes of accessories. I pulled out my phone, took photos of everything. Documentation, like Kevin said, then started filling more bags. I was on the 4th bag when my doorbell rang again. This time, it was a delivery driver with a certified letter. I signed for it, already knowing what it was. Harmony Karaoke Bar, across the top. Invoice for damages and lost business. $4,200 for the soundboard Tyler had fallen into. $1,800 for disruption of business and patron complaints. $500 for cleaning the booth. $6,500 total. I took a photo of it, emailed it to Kevin with the subject line, "They're billing me." His response came back in under a minute. "Don't pay. Forward any other contact to me." I set the invoice on the kitchen counter next to the divorce questionnaire and went back to clearing out Jessica's things. By sunset, I had 11 garbage bags lined up at the curb, and the house felt even emptier than before. My phone buzzed one more time. Kevin. Tyler Banks filed a police report. Assault and property damage. Detective will probably contact you in the next few days. Do not talk to them without me present. Call me immediately if they show up. I stared at the message until the screen went dark. Then I went back to Kevin's questionnaire and kept typing. The detective's card sat on my kitchen counter for 3 days before I called him. Detective Ryan Powell. Nashville Metro Police, Criminal Investigations Division. The card was cheap cardstock, slightly bent from where I'd shoved it in my pocket outside the karaoke bar while security was still dragging me toward the exit. I'd been expecting this. Tyler's police report wasn't going away on its own. I dialed at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, my day off. The phone rang twice. Powell. This is Daniel Reeves. I got your card last week. You left a message about an incident at the Crooning Crow in Nashville. A pause. I heard papers shuffling. Mr. Reeves, thanks for calling back. I need to ask you some questions about what happened on October 23rd. Are you willing to come to Nashville for an interview? I can do a phone interview. I'd prefer in person. I'm in Cleveland. That's a 7-hour drive for a conversation. Another pause. Mr. Reeves, you're looking at potential charges for assault and criminal damage to property. Tyler Banks claims you physically attacked him and caused over $6,000 in damage to the establishment. The bar's owner corroborates the damage claim. This isn't going away. My jaw tightened. I didn't assault anyone. I walked into a karaoke booth and had a conversation. A conversation that required 3 security guards to break up and resulted in damaged audio equipment. The equipment was already on. I just turned up the volume, to the point where it caused permanent damage to the speakers. I rubbed my eyes. The sleep deprivation was catching up with me again. I'd been averaging 4 hours a night since Nashville. What exactly did Tyler claim I did? He says you shoved him against the wall, threatened him, and intentionally destroyed the booth's sound system. He's got bruising on his shoulder and upper arm. The bar has you on security footage entering the booth uninvited and leaving while staff tried to restrain you. The booth was reserved under my wife's credit card, our joint account. I had every right to be there. That's not how property access works, Mr. Reeves. I walked to the window, looking out at the gray November morning. Dead leaves covered the lawn. I hadn't raked in weeks. Fine, I'll drive down this weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m. work for you? Yeah. Nashville Metro Headquarters, 200 James Robertson Parkway. Ask for me at the front desk. He hung up. I stood there holding the phone, feeling the walls close in a little tighter. Kevin called that afternoon while I was at work, standing in the break room with a cup of coffee that had gone cold an hour ago. Got the discovery from Jessica's attorney, he said without preamble. You're going to want to sit down. I'm at work. Then find somewhere private. I walked outside to the parking lot, November wind cutting through my work jacket. What is it? She's claiming emotional distress. Says your actions in Nashville were abusive and threatening. She's asking for a restraining order. The coffee cup crumpled in my hand. Hot liquid splashed across my boots. You're kidding. I wish I was. She filed an affidavit yesterday claiming you've been harassing her via text message, that you destroyed her personal property when you threw out her belongings, and that the Nashville incident constitutes domestic violence. Domestic violence? I never touched her. She's claiming the public humiliation and the threatening environment you created puts her in fear for her safety. She's also claiming you're unstable and potentially dangerous. I wanted to throw the phone across the parking lot. Instead, I took a breath. This is insane. It's strategy. If she gets the restraining order, it looks bad for you in the divorce, makes her the victim. Plus, it could affect the criminal case in Nashville if the detective thinks there's a pattern of threatening behavior. What do? We fight it. The hearing's in 8 days. I'll need you to provide documentation of every interaction you've had with her since the separation. Every text, every email, every phone call. And Daniel, no more contact with her. At all. Not even to defend yourself. Anything you say can and will be used to support her claim. She's the one who... I know. But right now, we play this smart. No emotional reactions, no confrontations. You show up to court calm, collected, and documented. Let me handle the rest. I looked back at the plant, at the fluorescent lights visible through the windows. My supervisor shift started in 2 weeks. I'd worked 60-hour weeks for 8 months to earn it. Now I was standing in a parking lot, getting sued by my cheating wife while facing criminal charges in another state. What about the money she spent on Tyler? The hotel rooms, the jewelry, all of it. That's still in play. We've got the credit card statements. But if she gets this restraining order, the judge might be less sympathetic to your claims. It muddies the water. So she cheats, spends our money on her affair, and I'm the bad guy? Welcome to family court, Daniel. It's not about fair. It's about who tells the better story. The text came that night while I was heating up a frozen dinner. Unknown number. Nashville area code. This is Tyler. We need to talk. I stared at the screen. Kevin's voice echoed in my head. No more contact. No emotional reactions. I deleted the message. 30 seconds later, another text. I know you're reading these. The police thing doesn't have to go anywhere. We can work this out. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. Every instinct screamed to respond, to tell him exactly where he could shove his offer. I set the phone face down on the counter. It buzzed again. Jessica doesn't know I'm reaching out. She wants to bury you in court. I just want this to go away. Drop the harassment and I'll drop the charges. Harassment. Like I was the one who'd been sending him messages. Another buzz. The bar's willing to negotiate on the damages. $2,500 and we call it even. You pay that and I withdraw the police report. Clean slate. I picked up the phone, opened my messages to Kevin. Tyler's texting me, offering to drop charges if I pay the bar and drop the harassment. What harassment? 3 dots appeared immediately. Don't respond. Screenshot everything and send it to me. This is witness tampering if he's trying to influence your statement to police. Gold for us. I screenshotted all 4 messages and sent them. Good. Keep ignoring him. If he keeps texting, even better. Let him dig his own hole. The microwave beeped. My dinner was ready. Salisbury steak with plastic-textured gravy. Same thing I'd eaten for the past week because cooking for one felt pointless. My phone buzzed again. You there? This is a limited-time offer, Daniel. After tonight, the deal's off the table. I ate my dinner in silence, watching the phone light up twice more with messages I didn't read. Saturday morning, I was on I-71 South by 4 a.m., driving through darkness toward Nashville. The interview was at 10. I wanted time to find the police station, grab coffee, and get my head straight before facing Detective Powell. The highway was empty except for semis hauling freight. I'd made this drive once before, 3 weeks ago, full of rage and purpose. Now, I just felt tired. My phone rang at 6:30, somewhere in Kentucky. Jessica's number. I let it go to voicemail. She called again 10 minutes later. Voicemail. A text followed. We need to talk about the restraining order hearing. This is getting out of hand. I didn't respond. Another text. I know you're awake. Your location shows you're driving. Where are you going? I'd forgotten about the phone tracking. We'd set it up years ago, one of those couple things that seemed sweet at the time. Find my friends. Always know where your partner is. I pulled off at the next exit and disabled location sharing. My phone immediately rang again. This time I answered. What? Where are you going? Her voice was sharp, suspicious. None of your business. Are you going to Nashville? Daniel, if you're going to harass Tyler again, I have a police interview about the charges your boyfriend filed. Silence. You need to drop this, she said finally. All of it. The divorce, the asset claims, everything. We can both walk away clean. Clean? You spent 4 months screwing your coworker with our money and you want to walk away clean? I'll withdraw the restraining order. Tyler will drop the charges. We'll split everything 50-50 and be done. No. Daniel, you don't get to cheat and then negotiate like this is a business deal. I want every penny you spent on him. I want the house. I want you to explain to a judge exactly what you did. You're going to lose. The Nashville thing makes you look unstable. The restraining order hearing is going to bury you. Kevin's a good attorney, but he can't fix what you did. We'll see. This is your last chance to... I hung up. She didn't call back. The Nashville Metro Police Department building looked smaller in daylight than it had in my imagination. Gray concrete, American flag hanging limp in the humid air, a parking lot half full of unmarked sedans. I sat in my truck for 5 minutes, watching officers come and go, before finally heading inside. Detective Powell met me in a windowless interview room that smelled like burnt coffee and industrial cleaner. He was younger than I'd expected, maybe 40, with the kind of lean build that suggested he ran marathons. He set a folder on the table between us and clicked a recorder on. Mr. Reeves, thanks for coming down. This is a voluntary interview regarding incident number 2023-47821, alleged assault and property damage at the Crooning Crow on October 23rd. You have the right to have an attorney present. I'm aware. Kevin had offered to come. I'd told him I'd handle it. Probably stupid, but I was tired of hiding behind lawyers for conversations. Powell opened the folder. Security camera stills, printed in grainy black and white. Me entering the booth. Tyler standing. Jessica's face caught mid-shout. The blurred moment when Tyler moved toward me and I'd pushed past him toward the soundboard. Walk me through what happened, Powell said. I did. All of it. Finding the Instagram post at 2:47 a.m., the emails, the flight to Nashville. Standing outside that booth listening to my wife with another man, the moment I'd opened the door and seen them together. Powell took notes, his expression neutral. When I finished, he tapped one of the photos. Tyler Banks says you shoved him hard enough to knock him into the equipment, that you were screaming threats, that security had to physically remove you because you wouldn't leave. I moved past him to get to the soundboard. He was blocking the door. If he fell, it's because he wasn't expecting me to actually walk away from him. I met Powell's eyes. And yeah, I turned the volume up, loud enough that the whole bar could hear what they'd been doing. That part's true. The equipment damage was already playing when I got there. I just made it louder. Powell flipped through more pages. Witness statements from the bar staff. The manager's damage assessment. Tyler's medical report showing bruising on his shoulder. Here's my problem, Mr. Reeves. You flew to another state, entered a private space, created a massive public disturbance, and caused thousands in property damage. Tyler's version has you as the aggressor. Your version has you as the victim. But either way, the damage happened. So charge me. He raised an eyebrow. You want to be charged? I want this decided by someone who isn't on Tyler's payroll. If I broke the law, fine. Charge me, and I'll take my chances with the jury. But I'm not paying him off to make this disappear. Powell studied me for a long moment. Then he closed the folder. Tyler called me yesterday, said he wanted to drop the charges, said it was a misunderstanding, that emotions were running high, that he doesn't want to pursue it anymore. My stomach tightened. What did you tell him? That it doesn't work that way. He filed a report. The state decides whether to prosecute, not him. Powell leaned back in his chair. But between you and me? The bar's surveillance shows Tyler stepping toward you first, shows you moving past him, not attacking him. And the equipment damage. The owner admitted the system was already overloaded before you touched anything. They'd been having electrical problems for weeks. So I'm recommending no charges. You caused a scene, but that's not criminal. The property damage is a civil matter between you and the bar. Tyler's bruise could have come from anywhere. There's no clear evidence you caused it. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank the security cameras. Powell stood, handed me a card. But Mr. Reeves? Whatever you're going through with your marriage, handle it in Ohio. Don't come back to my city looking for revenge. Next time, I might not be so understanding. I took the card. There won't be a next time. The restraining order hearing was on a Wednesday. I wore the suit I'd bought for job interviews 5 years ago, the one that didn't quite fit anymore after too many frozen dinners and skipped meals. Jessica sat across the courtroom with her attorney, a sharp-dressed woman named Patricia Hoffman, who looked like she ate men like me for breakfast. Jessica wore a conservative navy dress, minimal makeup, her hair pulled back. The image of a frightened wife. Kevin sat beside me, his own folder thick with printouts and exhibits. "Remember," he whispered, "stay calm. Don't react. Let me do the talking." Judge Martha Brennan took the bench at exactly 2 p.m. She was older, maybe 60, with reading glasses on a chain and the weary expression of someone who'd seen every variation of human dysfunction. This is a petition for a temporary restraining order filed by Jessica Reeves against Daniel Reeves. Ms. Hoffman, proceed. Patricia stood. Your Honor, my client has been subjected to a pattern of harassment and threatening behavior by her estranged husband. On October 23rd, Mr. Reeves traveled to Nashville, Tennessee, where he confronted Mrs. Reeves and her companion in a public establishment. He created a violent scene that required police intervention. Since then, he's destroyed her personal property, sent threatening messages, and created an environment where she fears for her safety. She presented exhibits, photos of the garbage bags I'd left at the curb, full of Jessica's belongings. Printouts of my email, the one where I'd said, "I hate you." A statement from Tyler describing the Nashville incident. Mrs. Reeves is afraid to return to the marital home. She's afraid to be alone with Mr. Reeves. She needs the court's protection while the divorce proceeds. Judge Brennan looked at me. Mr. Wright, response? Kevin stood. Your Honor, this petition is a strategic maneuver in a contentious divorce, nothing more. Mr. Reeves discovered his wife's affair through social media and documented evidence. His trip to Nashville was ill-advised, certainly, but no charges were filed because no crime occurred. The property he removed from the home was his wife's belongings, which he packed and made available for her to collect. Hardly destruction. And the single email Ms. Hoffman references was sent in response to Mrs. Reeves's own message, after which Mr. Reeves blocked all contact at my advice. He presented his own exhibits. The Instagram post that started everything. The emails between Jessica and Tyler, hundreds of them. The credit card statements showing money spent on the affair. Screenshots of Tyler's text messages trying to negotiate dropping charges. What we have here, Your Honor, is a wife who committed adultery, spent marital funds on her paramour, and is now attempting to paint herself as the victim when her husband discovered the truth. Mr. Reeves has had zero contact with his wife since I advised him to cease communication. He's not a threat. He's a man whose life was destroyed by betrayal, and he's handling it through proper legal channels. Judge Brennan removed her glasses. Mrs. Reeves, please stand. Jessica stood, her hands clasped in front of her. Did your husband ever strike you or threaten to strike you? No, Your Honor, but has he contacted you since retaining Mr. Wright as counsel? Jessica hesitated. He answered when I called him, but that's not what I asked. Has he initiated contact? No. Has he come to your residence or workplace? No, but the Nashville incident happened in a public establishment where you were present with another man, correct? Jessica's cheeks flushed. Yes, but I've reviewed the police report from Nashville. No charges filed. No finding of criminal conduct. Judge Brennan looked at Patricia. Ms. Hoffman, I'm not seeing grounds for a restraining order. What I'm seeing is a messy divorce with two people who need to stay away from each other. which they appear to be doing. Your Honor, the emotional distress is not sufficient for a restraining order absent evidence of actual threatening behavior. Packing someone's belongings and sending one angry email doesn't meet that threshold. She turned to me. Mr. Reeves, I'm denying the petition. However, I'm ordering both parties to have zero contact except through counsel. No calls, no texts, no emails, no social media. Everything goes through your attorneys. Understood? Yes, Your Honor. Mrs. Reeves? Yes, Your Honor. Jessica's voice was barely a whisper. Good. I'll see you both back here for the divorce proceedings. Try not to make my job harder than it needs to be. The gavel came down. The divorce took 7 months to finalize. 7 months of depositions and discovery, of asset inventories and financial disclosures. Jessica fought me on everything. The house, the cars, the retirement accounts. She wanted her half of my pension despite the affair. Wanted spousal support despite making nearly as much as I did. Kevin was relentless. Every hotel charge, every dinner, every gift she'd bought Tyler with our money, he documented it all. Dissipation of marital assets, he called it. In Tennessee, a fault state, it mattered. The final hearing was in May, almost exactly 7 months after that Instagram notification. Judge Brennan presided again, looking even more tired than before. The settlement wasn't perfect. I kept the house but had to refinance to buy out Jessica's equity. She kept her car. We split the retirement accounts, but I got credit for the money she'd spent on Tyler, $18,000 total, according to Kevin's accounting. No spousal support for either party. The marriage was dissolved. 8 years reduced to a court order and a stack of financial documents. I signed the papers in Kevin's office on a Tuesday afternoon. My hand shook slightly as I wrote my name, making the signature look unfamiliar. That's it, Kevin said. You're officially divorced. I set down the pen. Thanks for everything. You did good, Daniel. A lot of guys in your position would have done something stupid. You kept your head. I thought about Nashville, about the karaoke bar, about screaming into a microphone while my marriage imploded in front of strangers. I'm not sure I'd call it keeping my head. You didn't hit anyone, didn't violate the court orders, didn't let her bait you into anything that would have hurt your case. That's a win in my book. We shook hands. I walked out of his office into spring sunshine, officially single for the first time in 8 years. I saw Jessica one more time, 3 months after the divorce finalized. I was at the grocery store loading coffee and frozen pizzas into my cart when I spotted her in the produce section. She was with Tyler, his arm around her waist as they examined avocados. She was laughing at something he'd said, that same bright laugh from the Instagram photos. She looked happy. I stood there for a moment, waiting for the anger to hit. The betrayal, the bitterness, all of it. It didn't come. I just felt tired, and maybe a little sad for who we'd been before everything broke. She saw me then. Our eyes met across the produce section. Her smile faded. Tyler followed her gaze, his expression hardening. I nodded once, acknowledgement, nothing more, and turned my cart toward the checkout. I didn't look back. A year after the divorce, I got the supervisor position at the plant. The promotion I'd been killing myself for while my marriage fell apart. It came with a raise, better hours, and an office with a window that looked out over the parking lot. I dated a little. Nothing serious. Wasn't ready for serious, might not be for a while. But I went out, met people, remembered what it felt like to have conversations that didn't revolve around lawyers and court dates. I kept the house, repainted the bedroom, bought new furniture, turned Jessica's office into a workshop. The place felt like mine now, not ours. That helped. Some nights I still thought about that Instagram notification, about the moment everything changed, about how I'd missed the signs for months, too focused on work and the future to see what was happening in the present. I didn't regret the Nashville trip exactly. It was stupid and reckless and could have gone much worse. But it was also the moment I stopped being passive, stopped letting things happen to me. Maybe I needed that, even if the execution was a disaster. Kevin sent me a Christmas card that first year. Inside he'd written, "Hope you're doing well. Remember, the best revenge is living well. Kevin." I put it on my fridge. 2 years after the divorce, I was having dinner with my brother when he asked the question everyone eventually asked. "So, would you do it again? Marriage?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "Maybe," I said finally. "But different, smarter. I'd pay more attention, work less, talk more, trust, but actually verify instead of just assuming." He laughed. "That's not very romantic." "No," I agreed. "But neither is finding out your wife's been lying to you for 4 months because you were too busy to notice." Fair point. We finished our beers in comfortable silence. Later, driving home through familiar streets, I thought about Jessica. Wondered if she'd married Tyler, if they were happy, if she ever thought about what we'd had and thrown away. Mostly, though, I didn't think about her at all anymore. The house was dark when I pulled into the driveway. I'd left the porch light on. A habit now, coming home to an empty house. Inside, everything was exactly as I'd left it. No surprises, no secrets. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table with my laptop, and paid some bills. Normal, boring, solitary life. It wasn't the future I'd imagined at 26 or 30 or even 34. But it was mine, built on truth instead of lies, and that counted for something. The notification that had changed everything was long deleted, buried in some digital archive I'd never access again. But I remembered it. Would always remember it. 2:47 a.m., my phone lighting up in the darkness, the moment my life split into before and after. Some people say everything happens for a reason, that there's a purpose to pain, a lesson in betrayal. I don't know about that. What I know is this. Trust is fragile, easily broken, and hard to rebuild. Love requires attention, not just intention. And sometimes the person you think you know best is the one hiding the most. I learned those lessons the hard way, at 2:47 a.m. on an October night that felt like a lifetime ago. The coffee finished brewing. I poured a cup, added cream, and stood at the window looking out at the quiet street. Tomorrow I'd wake up and do it all again. Work, bills, the small rituals of single life. No drama, no betrayal, no midnight notifications shattering everything I thought I knew. It wasn't the life I'd planned, but it was honest. And after everything, that was enough.